This line right here.
Fight you, Flash. I wouldn't want to fight me neither.
This. Hey everyone, Dark Spider David here, and this is a first for me, not just for this channel or the prior one, but just in general, as far as YouTube videos that I've made are concerned. I'm going to be reacting to the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie in its entirety, of course cut down for particular reasons, but it was mainly influenced by so many people saying that it was their first time watching the movie and then posting their first time reacting to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man from 2002. We are at that point in time where people are just discovering this movie and taking it to the likes of YouTube to then share their reaction. Needless to say, this is in no way, shape, or form my first time, being fully transparent, not my first time or second time or third time reacting to this movie. I've seen it plenty of times, so it's not necessarily a fresh take, but more so like a commentary slash revisit how Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man holds up damn near 20 years later. Next year, to be exact, is going to be 20 years since the release of this movie, and 20 years since my 11-year-old self saw it and witnessed it for the first time in the theater, looking up because they didn't have stadium seating back then. Looking up at the screen and be like, oh my god, it's an actual Spider-Man movie of him like swinging and doing the shit that he's actually, supposed to be doing with the technology, and Sam Raimi bringing it to life and all that stuff. So this is going to be that revisit, kind of harkening back to my past experiences, kind of giving a little bit of commentary along the way. So let's go ahead and react slash commentate to Tobey Maguire's 2002 Spider-Man, directed by Sam Raimi. The Elfman's music. Elfman's music was just match made in heaven for this movie, as far as like what they decided or who they decided to go to for music, which was almost, I think, last second. I don't think it was even going to be Elfman to begin with. And then this, whose idea was it? Elfman's idea to do this whole with the Marvel logo. It was just damn near perfect. Good lord, I remember just feeling so hyped looking at the webs in the theater, and then the logo just kind of twists. Spider-Man. And I remember feeling off kilter because the logo looked a little different than it was in the promo material. A little bit of Batman in that bit of the music right there. It just sounds, it's just a tinge of Batman, but while at the same time still sounding a bit distinct. R.I.P. Bill Nunn. I always lost the part. I don't know what it is, and it's perfectly in sync with the part where it says music by Danny Elfman. I don't know what it is about that piece of music that all these years later, that's the part that kind of gets me in my feels a little bit. So if I hear it come No Way Home time, oh man, it's over. And all in all, movies these days, especially superhero movies, they don't really do title sequences like this anymore. They don't have the big flair to take up a good 3 to 4 minutes of your time to kind of give you a sense of the tone and the splendor that the movie is really going to convey for you. And only someone like Sam Raimi would bother to think, oh yeah, like the first 5 minutes of the movie is an opening title sequence that's very flashy and very like gets you in the mood, gets you in the hype, like the way that it's supposed to. Because nowadays we don't even get titles to begin with. As much as I love Marvel movies, they just start. You have the Marvel logo with the Marvel dun 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 dun, but after that the movie just starts. Most of them. Sometimes they have a title, but most of the time they don't even have title sequences. I remember hearing Tobey's narration in the commercials and the TV spots leading up to the release of the movie, and I was just like, oh, this feels so edgy in 2000s.
I'd like to tell you that's me next to her.
There goes the biggest nerd in the movie, and I'm not talking about Tobey. If you really think about it, all these years later, the biggest nerd ended up being the bully Flash Thompson, Joe Manganiello, playing D&D in his basement. And that's not a jab. I envy him. I wish I had my own like thing set up just for gaming, not necessarily D&D, but like that kind of thing. This part always bothered me even as a kid. This girl right here. You're worse. You look even worse. Sorry. Then again, I don't know who's worse. Her, the other nerdy girl who has no business being like, don't even think about it. But even the bus driver. You should get fired for that. This part always sucked. How many of us have been there? It's happened to me. I mean, I may not, I don't exactly look like you would expect it, but it did happen to me.
Don't ever be ashamed of who you are. Not ashamed of who I am.
I remember immediately feeling the dynamic from the two of them back in the theater. I mean, I know I was only 11, but I was just like, yeah, this is going to be our Harry and our Norman.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
This meme. I'm not gonna lie, this meme has cracked me up in the past couple of months. I'm something of a scientist myself everywhere.
They're in the order Arane, which is divided into 3 suborders.
That's amazing.
This guy had always looked like she just hated her job.
Next we have
High school students. Fucking bunch of 30-year-olds.
spins an intricate
She said cuckoo.
Leave him alone.
This line.
His father will fire your father. What's daddy gonna do?
That line always cracked me up.
What is going on?
I always liked how right there Harry did this like thing with his eyebrow. Well, like actually, and he'll probably sue him.
Some spiders change colors to blend into their environment. It's a defense mechanism.
Makes you think I would want to know that.
Whoa. That fact right there. I just realized that may not have been hearkening to Peter Spider-Man, but possibly Miles. I mean, I'm not saying that they had plans to make a Miles Morales Spider. I don't think even Miles Morales was in existence here. But the fact that that's probably something that it was, kind of sequentiated into Miles. It's like, okay, I see what you did there.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
It was at this moment that Peter should have just said, "Fuck you, Harry."
You were talking throughout that woman's entire presentation.
Why does that guy talk like? You will fail at the Jedi Academy.
Don't make me look ugly.
That's impossible.
I've seen the meme of this where he shows it, and it's what's his face? Thornberry smashing. That must have been scary, because that right there is a real spider. The shot from underneath, that was CG, but that one right there, that's a real spider that Tobey actually had to have on his hand. Of course, CG for the close-up, but otherwise, something with that fat of an ass on a spider, like the fatter the ass, the more deadly that thing it probably is. Just notice how matte that external shot looked like. Hey, if you look at the tester's thing over his head, the goggles, as well as the color scheme and the look of the overall goggles. I mean, I know it doesn't look like the helmet, but it looks like something related to that pre-screen or pre-testing thing where he had the full-on, thing with the hats and the latex, that test screening thing that they were doing that everybody's like, oh my god, that would have been better. It kind of looked like it was probably harkening from that. Right here, something bugged me even when I was a kid, where the editing, you can tell that there's a deleted scene. Right here.
I never supported your program. We have my predecessor to thank for that.
Norman.
Yeah, has nobody ever noticed that? Norman's over there and then he's over here. That's because there's actually a deleted scene that's on the DVD extras. And only later that I discover it's a deleted scene. But even back when I was a kid watching it, I was like, wait, did I miss something?
Corporation is downsizing the people and upsizing their profits.
Sounds like every corporation that's ever existed. Full-time with benefits? Huh. Just get more part-timers, no benefits. Save money. Really hit it out of the park with the casting on Uncle Ben and Aunt May. With Rosemary Harris and Cliff Robertson, R.I.P. They nailed it. So apparently, this shot right here was the predecessor to what we subsequently would end up with in Captain America First Avenger. Like, that shot right there was actually a body double with Tobey Maguire's face. And you can barely notice. These random Sam Raimi shots with the skull going towards the camera right here. Right? Yeah, there. I was like, what was that? Even as and then the animated sequences right here, that's very Raimi. It's also very Raimi that he's so far, unless I'm wrong, he's so far the only one who hasn't properly shown the bite show symptoms afterwards. You know what I mean? With Garfield, Tom Holland, we didn't really see that origin, but with Andrew Garfield and even in the recent Spider-Man games, when they get bit, they almost instantly get the powers, and just like that, they're good. It's like, you know, it's like being sick. You know, you feel like feverish, nauseated, all that stuff. What does Norman say here?
Get me the promochloroparacine.
For what?
It begins cannibalization when the vapor hits the bloodstream.
Every time I want to confuse my girlfriend in case I ever need something to like create something, I'm like, get me the promochloroparacine. Random line. Oh, it's cold. I mean, it's true. It's relatable. It's funny how the computer shows that his muscles are getting bigger, and yet Willem Dafoe looks the same. Yeah, this was freaky. Back to formula. And another line that's become a meme since then. To the point where even Video Game Donkey. Back to formula, eh? So many memes I just noticed just came out of the Tobey Maguire series. Like, that's how you know that this is where it all started. Not only meme culture, but also the culture of Tobey Spider-Man. What are the chances that she's the one next door? I mean, I know it's from the comics and whatnot, but that's...
Teenagers. Raging hormones. Never change.
Teenagers. This motherfucking stalking. I remember being in the theater and just watching the gradual progression of his powers to be like, oh my god, here it comes. You know, that build up is what gets us, what got us giddy in the theater as Spider-Man fans. Oh god, this damn jump scare right here.
Last night I was...
What?
I don't remember.
But I'm not gonna deny it. Everybody in the theater jumped. It's now become common knowledge that this one sequence here with the plate,
Great reflex.
one take. Well, not the first take, but in one live action take, no CG or nothing like that. But apparently it was done like 20 something times. Every single one of them. High schoolers. Like, they didn't even bother casting like one or two that actually looked the age. Everybody looks like they're in their 30s. I remember this being impressive at the time as far as CG is concerned. This line right here.
Fight you, Flash.
I wouldn't want to fight me neither.
This. I love that line. I love throwing that line around. It's so stupid. Hey, whoa, there's an actual high schooler. Look, two of them. And there's that one guy behind Mary Jane, the guy with the glasses and the curly hair that appears in every movie ever. That extra, he's in everything. But I remember this sequence. How do you explain the shoes, though? Never said that the CGI aged the best, at least all the way across the board, and this sequence, unfortunately, is a victim of that, especially from the side angle where you could see Rubber Peter, like that, and I was like, oh, well, let me get my controller out. And this was the beginning of him not holding up to his responsibilities. Great power. He's barely on screen for a few moments or seconds, and yet they did an excellent job of making the dad sound tremendously douchey.
Can't wait to get out of here.
Just like me in the high desert.
I cried like a baby when you played Cinderella.
Peter, that was first grade.
Her face. Peter, that was first grade. Idiot. Good lord. I'll be lucky enough to find something for $2,500. And yes, I am fully aware that even though those shots show Tobey drawing, the actual drawing hands, I believe, is John Romita Jr. I might be wrong about that, but I believe John Romita Jr. is the one that's actually doing the drawing. As you can tell, because even though that's the red and blue version of Spidey, you can kind of see a little bit of the lines and the structural build of Spidey there. That's very Romita. This movie is brought to you by Dr. Pepper.
You're acting so strangely, Peter.
Okay, thanks.
His response to that. And the lamp is fixed and back to normal on the shelf. Is it really that slow in the city that the biggest news is the loss of a budget contract to a competitor from one company that doesn't care about you. And that was the last time. That was the last time she saw him. If you really think about it.
These are the years when a man changes into the man he's going to become the rest of his life.
One of the best monologues in some, not just for the Spider-Man movies, but also for superhero movies in general. Here it is.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Bonesaw. One of the best wrestlers in the business, Macho Man Randy Savage. With, of course, one of the goats, one of the greats, Ash, Bruce Campbell himself. Oh, and a special cameo right here, Octavia Spencer just appearing out of nowhere.
Sign me up.
Oscar-winning actress, just popping out of nowhere, and she still has a presence. Like, I remember her blatantly. I was like, holy shit. Like, as soon as she started popping up in more movies recently and then subsequently winning the Oscar, I was like, yeah, I remember you. I remember you from Spider-Man, giving the sass to Small Fry.
If he can withstand just 3 minutes in the cage with Bonesaw McGraw.
He did say cage. I just noticed that. He didn't say ring, he said cage. They didn't lie. Pretty sure that's not a real nurse there right next to him.
Hey, Freak Joe! You're going
I got you for 3 minutes. I don't know how just those few kicks knocked him out, to be honest. I felt like Bonesaw, I gotta be honest, now looking back at it, I feel like Bonesaw went down a little too easy. I demand a rematch. This is actually one of the few changes I liked better from the comics, because in the comics, he wins and he gets the money and he just ignorantly lets the guy go. Here, it's genuine, like, vengeance. Like, hey, you didn't give me the money. Like, there's a root there. And I actually do prefer that over the fact that in the comics, he was just like, hey, man, I'm no cop. I'm like, and it's just him saying that. I wonder if his spidey sense was tingling here. Told him to walk forward to it and be like, hey, you should probably check this out. This is actually one of the most sincere deaths I've seen in blockbuster movies, where somebody actually looks like they're trying to cling on to life and then the life just goes and dies. Unfortunately, since then, people have memed this shot to death. That's a little tough to take seriously now. I always dug this transition here from live action footage of him running to then the CG version of Spidey jumping. Now, granted, almost 20 years later, it does look a little PS2-ish, but still, it has its charm. Now, those early 2000s, early to mid-ish 2000s visual effects, they got the job down then, but now I feel like we've just gotten spoiled with realistic looking CG effects that now it's like, oof. His first swing. By the way, I did notice that this shot is actually replicated of him swing by the side of those buildings. It's actually replicated and reused later in the movie, only with a different time of day and a different costume. I remember as a kid looking at this and be like, oh my god, it's Spider-Man! I mean, he's wearing a really weird costume, but it's Spider-Man, it's actually happening. You could argue that this is where Spider-Man became a little Batman. That shot right here, it's one of the money shots. Not just for the movie, but also for the trailers. What the fuck was he doing with his mouth? It's grunts. Ow! Ow! No dialogue needed.
Good evening, General. Good to see you.
Did he even wait for the car to stop so he could get out? What is this suit supposed to do? Love that transition with the hands. This is a guilty pleasure, but I love it.
It's not the first time I've been proven wrong.
Damn, passive aggressive much? That ADR though. My man's really been doing that for the past like 5 hours. It was daytime. Now it's nighttime. At least I think it's nighttime, because now I'm seeing sun reflect? Never mind. Off to make the most complicated suit off screen with no explanation. Here we go. Best transitions, the best shots. Just takes the muffin. Oh, the doggos. These New Yorkers. These super New Yorkers. Some kind of something. You protect, you know what, protect the people. You know it, the bada boom. Come on. Oh, hey, Xena. Hey, Two Towers still snuck into the movie. They were on his lenses right there. One of the best casting choices, not just for this movie, not just for the Raimi trilogy, but for all of superhero genre in general. J.K. Simmons. One of my favorite actors of all time. All the dialogue in this scene is just perfect as far as the back and forth. I like how quickly you can start seeing all the meds he has on his desk, and they're a very modest amount, but by Spider-Man 3, his whole thing is filled up with a bunch of pills. Okay.
Yes, Enrique, okay, I get you.
Where did this meme come from? This is actually one of the few memes I don't get. Because she never said anything that's like the meme that I've seen. It's just, we're starting to get to that point where some of this Zoomer humor, I'm just like,
Perfect. Hey, 5 new contracts. It'll be great.
I wonder if that was all ad-libbed by Willem Dafoe. Be like, oh, business talk, smart talk on the phone? Okay.
I was late for work and Dr. Connors fired me.
You were late again?
Dr. Connors, our first name drop for the reference.
Hey, Pete, you're probably looking for a job now, right? Dad, maybe you can help him out.
Way to pivot, bro. God, you know, now looking back at this movie, Harry was kind of a shit. It's interesting that we're getting bits of Spidey, but you know Raimi really wanted that parade to be the actual cinematic entrance of Spider-Man.
But I never said you have a job. Meat. I'll send you a nice box of Christmas meat. Best I can do. Get out of here. Bring me some photos.
Who wrote that line? Like I said, I still don't know if it was David Koepp who wrote the screenplay or if it was just J.K. Simmons just saying the randomest thing that came to mind.
Yes.
Gotta be honest, Peter. Betty, MJ.
The bombing.
This whole sequence right here, I've seen it being memed, I've seen it in streams, I've seen it.
You know how much I sacrificed?
Now, someone online broke it down
Oh, Max. Please. Norman.
that Norman actually goes through the 5 stages of grief in this one scene, and we have to give kudos to Willem Dafoe for being able to exercise all of them.
I'm sorry.
Watch the scene, he'll go through all of them. Okay, what happened to Macy Gray? Where's she at now? Not a good look for Harry now knowing what's come of James Franco, I'm just saying. Yo, it really starting to hit home now that Harry was never really that great of a best friend. He really wasn't. From day one. Movie one, or rather. You know, it's funny, nowadays that actually would be a parade thing because a lot of people are floating around with those new, like, jetpacks and gliders things that float on, like, the water and stuff. Perfect mixture of actual, like, sets, practical sets with miniatures. Don't like that they reversed that shot, though. And here comes the Stan Lee cameo! Long live Stan Lee. And the official reveal. A much more formal presentation of Spidey. This is some weird choice for shots. And then this threatening kid, man, I swear to God, even as a child, myself, being 11 years old in the theater, watching this dumbass kid just, I know, like, the excuses could be made for him being in shock or whatever, but Darwinism, you know, I'm just saying. Now, admittingly, when we get to this right here, teeters on a little bit of that Power Rangerism that people were commenting on the suits, especially for Green Goblin. Looks a little Power Rangers. Kinda sus that you're saying her name out loud like that, damn. How long has this thing been falling? Classic villain line. Oh, and I would like to give a very formal screw you to everybody who ruined this following shot right here, where you can blatantly tell that it's a dummy. that she's just clenching onto. And as a kid, I didn't know any better. And now as an adult, I wish I hadn't known that. But there it is.
What do you mean he's incredible? No.
Just notice Peter in the back. What'd you say?
Bed bug.
Fun fact, cell phones don't give off dial tones.
Whatever it is, somebody has to stop it.
I think it's with that line that we finally felt comfortable as with Tobey as Peter / Spider-Man. We're like, yeah.
I'm right here.
It's like, stop looking at those things. One of my favorite scenes that really shows how perfect Defoe was, not only for Green Goblin, but maybe Joker in the future, maybe, just maybe. Having his own little Tyler Durden moment.
Slander is spoken. In print, it's libel.
I always go back to that line to learn the difference. Thank you, J.K. Simmons and J. Jonah Jameson. I know the difference now.
Who's the photographer who takes the pictures?
But he comes in clutch here.
I don't know who he is. His stuff comes in the mail.
You're lying!
I swear.
He saved Peter. He could have sold him out and he saved him. That's nuts. That's what made us root for Jay. Carry me in your arms tonight.
But the one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying.
Very fascinating parallels. And then the little head tap.
Here's the real truth.
I've always liked the little head tap. Hey, like I know some people don't like it because they find it corny, but it fits. The film makes it his own, and the way Raimi directed him, it's just like, it's perfect. And what he's saying, perfect parallel to what's going on now with No Way Home. As soon as it was revealed, you know, people with the sign saying that he's the devil or something like that, it's never been not true.
It's me again.
Hey!
It's me again. Yeah, I feel like we just did this scene 10, 15 minutes ago.
Come with us.
No thanks.
Okay, MJ, you're really gonna third wheel my man here?
I better run, Tiger.
Hey, first time we called him Tiger. Just notice that. Just making it so obvious. I believe we're getting to the scene that was actually what cemented the casting of Tobey Maguire in that screen test. What is that supposed to do? I get the smooching noise, but what's with the... It's a little cold there, isn't it? Replicated some shots there. So apparently, out of all the scenes in the movie, this was the most dangerous because I can't remember if it was either Tobey or the stunt double was pretty much waterboarding himself here with the rain going up against his nose, but him wearing the fabric mask on his face, he's practically suffocating himself, so that's gnarly. But it was all worth it for an MTV Movie Award for Best Kiss. Was that considered cheating? I mean, I know that her and Harry hadn't exactly been dating for too long. There's probably some gray area somewhere in there. Great acting by this woman right here. Like, why are we not giving her some more roles? That's the shot. The shot that was replicated from the chase scene earlier when he was chasing down his Uncle Ben's killer. But this time they swapped night for day and the wrestler costume for the regular costume. Probably one of the few people who noticed that when I first went to go see the movie. How was he able to get the woman voice so down? Everybody this just 3 years after the Matrix, so everybody needed to get their Matrix shot. And there's this one.
No one says no to me.
How the Weinsteins got their career.
MJ, will you stop goofing around?
Harry, relax.
She's smelling the food, goofing around.
Work was murder. I picked up a fruitcake.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne.
The line of dialogue. And the way Defoe's able to deliver it. Workers murder. I picked up a fruitcake.
Is that you?
Dude, he being loud. Yo, okay. Obviously, it's a reaction, so I can't be able to rewind or whatever, but I just noticed in 4K the little hook next to his hip to be able to keep him up on the roof. It was so right there. They didn't even, like, rotoscope it out or nothing.
Sorry I'm late. It's a jungle out there. I had to beat an old lady with a stick to get these cranberries.
Somehow Tobey looks like he would beat an old lady. Another thing I find interesting is that Norman always refers to Peter as Parker. He hardly ever calls him Peter until later, echoing
Norman? Will you do the honors?
It's funny, why don't you use utensils, bro? But echoing what he says in the No Way Home trailer. It's Colin Parker.
You're wrong about her, Dad.
A word to the not-so-wise about your little girlfriend. Do what you need to with her, then broom her fast.
I like the inflection in the voice. That wasn't Norman talking. That was the Goblin.
Thanks for sticking up for me, Harry.
You heard?
I still regret not being able to get that action figure that had Norman with the chair and the helmet. Oof, that would have completed my collection. Would have killed her. Finish it. This is definitely feeding a little bit more so into feeding a little more into Raimi's horror background there.
He called me. I haven't called him back.
I remember, there's no texting. There goes May.
Time to talk about it.
No,
Peeping.
go on.
Peeping.
He is extremely cool.
But do you think it's...
He's so cool. I'm gonna milk that joke for as long as I can. And I sleep now. That's the thing. It's like, after a while, you're just like, man, Peter is really relatable, not just because of who he is, but also because Harry trifling, MJ trifling, Aunt May peeping. See, what happened was, noticing the green undershirt, the green turtleneck that Harry's now wearing.
Dad, is that you?
You hear that, and you're not gonna wonder, like, what? Who's that laughing? What was that laughing? It's gonna go straight to your problems.
I'm going to rectify certain inequities.
I gotta start using that line more. Rectify inequities. And Raimi scaring the bejesus out of everybody in the theater when that happened. Especially with that down pause of them hugging and then all of a sudden that comes out the screen. I remember as a kid, even at 11 years old, I was like, you didn't have to do that. Didn't have to do that.
You're not Superman, you know.
Lawsuit.
Don't go up any dark alleys. Hello?
Somebody calls you up and tells you that. That's scary. You can tell Willem Dafoe had a lot of fun with this role. Definitely don't blame him for wanting to come back for No Way Home. If, allegedly.
Suffer the little children.
Now, exactly how did he manage to, like, he was holding the cable. Was he holding the cable the entire time while he was trying to reach for MJ and then grab her? Or did he, like, secure... I don't overthink it, David. One of the best shots. That one right there. Every trailer, every TV spot, every music video had that shot. It will come up on TV, promoting the movie. Ahoy. He actually said ahoy. Get props to Kirsten Dunst for testing that cable, because I saw the behind the scenes stuff. Here comes some more Matrix. Slow motion for me. So being that this came out shortly after 9/11, apparently this was a response to it. Like, this wasn't in the script, but Raimi decided to throw it in there and be like, hey, show that New York is together here. A product of the times, but it's like, it's warranted, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, I feel like in a different light, it would have been cringe. And we've had Marvel movies since then do some cringy stuff, or superhero movies in general. And here comes a rather dark climax that I don't know why we don't have more superhero movies do climaxes like this, where the costume gets tattered. It's not high up somewhere with a bunch of CGI. It's literally just two figures beating the shit out of each other. Why don't we have more of this? Like, look at that. It's the brutality of it all, just taking it one bit by bit in slow motion and high motion, and I just don't know why superhero movies are not doing more of this. And the hero actually looks threat. Like, you know, it's not just a couple, like Marvel movies these days barely have like a little bit of blood here, a little, you know, like a trickle here, or a slight cut right here, or stuff like that. Peter looks just torched here at the end with the costume as well as the blood coming out of his mouth and the black guy. They don't do it like this anymore. And like I said, it's just in a very quiet space. It's just the two of them going at it. I'm sorry, I'm ranting a little bit, but I love this climax. With all that said, where the hell did he pull that out from? Okay, I'll give you guys that. Where? Out of his ass. And then it's always kind of bugged me though that despite the beating that Peter took, he should have delved a little bit more. That was only like what, 2-3 punches in the wall, but still.
Believe in me, as I believed in you.
There's a theory going around
I've been like a father.
that he raised the glider not necessarily just to kill Peter, but also to kill himself and take them both together. And then this little oh.
Oh.
Even as a kid, I'm like, damn, they're gonna actually have him like just split out a bunch of blood. I mean, it's in the shadow, but even then, just that shot of the mirror with the mask. What can I say? Great shots. And so continues, or rather starts, the running theme of Peter / Spider-Man and funerals.
You're the only family I have.
Even though I tried to take your girl multiple times, and your lines, and your knowledge, your fun facts about spiders. Fuck you, Harry. Here comes flip-flopping Mary Jane. It gets kind of frustrating after a while, you know what I mean?
There's only one man who's always been there for me.
While I dated other guys, and took care of other jobs, and did other things. Peter the Pushover. It actually kind of lines up with that nickname.
I can't.
You can't what?
Perform. I'm gonna stop. It's the end of the movie. Come on.
I will always be your friend.
Friend zoned. And then the hand disappears on his face.
I have to give.
But then a couple of shots later, bam, it's back. Not only on this over-the-shoulder shot from her, but also on the other one. Bam. Yes, I know, I'm ruining things, but it was ruined for me, and probably one of the best endings. Because when I was in the theater and this music was swelling up in his speech,
I'm Spider-Man.
this ending, this final swing, transitioning from real New York footage to CG, it's seamless. Oh, my 11-year-old self. My 11-year-old self was just like, oh. And thus roll our credits and end my first live reaction, well, mostly live reaction to the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and there you have it. Better jet on out of here before we get Nickelback on here and kind of obliterate our ears, as he does like right about here, I believe. And you're done. Okay, so thank you guys for sticking through all the way to the end of my reaction, checking out Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in anticipation for not only Spider-Man No Way Home, but also just to kind of go along memory lane, kind of recount my viewpoints on the movie, how it's aged all these years later, and also what my experiences were growing up with this movie ever since I first saw it back in 2002. Appreciate you guys for sticking all the way to the end of it. Hit that thumbs up video. If you guys want other reactions for me to do, let them be known in the comment section, whether it be, of course, more of the Spider-Man films, but even as this channel has to do with both Spider-Man and Batman, if you guys want me to check out some of those Burton Batmans, maybe those Schumacher Batmans, the infamous ones, as well as other things that you guys want me to check out that's Batman or Spider-Man related, feel free to let me know in the comments. Don't be shy. And as always, guys, thank you, appreciate you, and stay humble.